You should probably mute us.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Greg, co-founder and CEO of Endowus. I'm joined by my colleagues today who will introduce themselves as we pick up on our different sections of the webinar, really to give a broad overview on why we started Endowus. Why don't we go to the next slide? On why we started Endowus and really how we're changing up the way people can invest and manage wealth for the Hong Kong market. Going back, if you have any questions, please go to Slido. Endowus HK is the password, or Endowus HK is the code. Type that in, upvote questions, join us there, and we'll try to get to them through the presentation and after the presentation during Q&A. Cool. Next slide, please. Why we started Endowus, how we're different through advice, access, and cost, why we are coming to Hong Kong, why we're in Hong Kong, and how to get started on Endowus Hong Kong is what we're going to talk about today. I'll kick us off with why we started Endowus and our mission. And I'll try and summarize this in a very simple anecdote. So first of all, we're really here to empower individuals and families to thrive by achieving their goals. We started Endowus for ourselves, where we struggled with advice, access, and being able to do so at a low fair cost. A lot of us started our careers in institutional finance. I personally started at UBS in the investment bank, which happens to be one of the Endowus shareholders now as well. And when it came to investing our own money versus the way institutions invested money, we saw a very big difference. I mean, why is it that the pension funds and the sovereign wealth funds we were talking to and advising were investing so differently from ourselves or our parents or our family and friends? And really, it comes down to bringing a lot of financial science and being able to implement that in markets in an effective way. Next slide, please. And it comes, and unfortunately, because of a poor business model, there has been a lack of aligned advice, a lack of access to good products, and usually products pushed at a very high cost in Asia. This has led to a generation of poor outcomes. I know that my parents have struggled with this. They've been challenged with this for the last 50, 60 years, and my grandparents of investing and trying to make the most of their hard-earned wealth. Interestingly, despite Hong Kong and Singapore being seen as really big and important wealth centers and wealth hubs, not only for Asia, but for the whole world, they have below average costs when it comes to investing. And this is largely driven to the business model issue. So next slide, please. And I think this can be summarized very well. Sorry, I'm gonna come back to this. This can be summarized very well. Next slide, please. This can be summarized very well in where the business model is not working for us as the client. A lot of the financial services companies out there are working on the red pill. So imagine if I were your doctor and you came to me with an illness and I said, oh, don't worry, you don't have to pay me because I am going to make a fee from the pharma company. So I reach into my drawer and I find a pill that obviously is paying, I'm incentivized to find a pill that is paying me more than maybe a pill that is lower cost and more appropriate to cure you of your ailment. Unfortunately, a lot of financial services today, from people pushing insurance to funds, are being incentivized in this way, and they're waiting for the fund manager or the pharma company or in our case the fund manager to pay a large sales commission so that they push that product to you. Now, we think this definitely has to change, and the market is ready for that. We need to move towards a conflict-free and fee-only business model to get to better aligned outcomes, where we say, hey, this is the cost to use our platform. This is the cost for our advice. And given your inputs, we recommend this pill or we recommend this product or portfolio. And don't worry, only you can pay us. We cannot be paid by the fund managers or product manufacturers to push product. We cannot be paid transaction fees that would incentivize us to churn your portfolio and keep on giving you a hot new idea every week. So this is the crux of really what the Endowus platform unlocks for the end customer, and what we think is critically important to understand as an incoming Endowus client. If we go back to the previous slide, what we've managed to do as a result is really develop a new wealth experience through Endowus, where you can access great products, portfolios, get personalized advice, have a digital first experience, but human interaction when you want it, access to the world's best investing strategies and curated for you, we'll talk about later, across everything from money market funds for short-term cash management to equities and fixed income to hedge funds and alternatives. When we started Endowus, and it's in our name, we wanted to bring endowment investing for all of us. Next slide, 2 slides. Yeah. Going back to the pills. And what we realize is that markets really compound if you can work, if you can position yourself properly within them. This very clearly, almost 100 years of market data and the relationship between risk and return and the ability to manage drawdowns. So positioning yourself properly within markets is what we help you do so that you can achieve your short-term and long-term outcomes by taking the appropriate amount of risk for every single one of your goals. We'll talk about this advice piece of our 3 pillars of advice, access, and cost later on in the presentation. Carrying on, next slide, please. What we do, again, is help you construct these portfolios to help you organize your wealth and life. Regardless of when those goals are, we have the right diversified solutions that are professionally managed to help you get there. And what you end up with is a holistic portfolio across public markets, fixed income, cash management, and for professional investors, hedge funds and private markets alternatives as well. And really, all of this is so that Endowus actually aids your life, helps you invest better to live better. Next slide, please, Steph. Thanks. And on the Endowus platform, we have a lot of preset portfolios that you can pick from once you tell us about your risk tolerance and your goals. And through a liabilities-driven asset allocation model, you can run multiple portfolios on the Endowus account. I mean, in the industry jargon, they call this like separate managed accounts. But essentially, I can run many portfolios designed towards each of my goals that automatically rebalance themselves and stay on track towards those goals. I can then modify those goals as and when my own sort of life goals change, and therefore the shape of those liabilities change. And this is really the power of Endowus and how we've managed to really grow and democratize wealth management for a lot of people in the last few years. Next slide, please. And when it comes down to like really formulating this concept, we can work with you as an advisor, or you can do this on your own on the Endowus platform, where you define what you need for each of your goals. Don't mind the number. I mean, our minimum investment, I already saw one of the questions, is 10,000 Hong Kong dollars, but we're using this as a great example. And construct these portfolios of diversified stocks, bonds, again, private equity, hedge funds. Maybe you have to express a view through, for example, Chinese equities. And all of these portfolios independently manage themselves to build up your overall allocation to capital markets in an efficient way. And is really bringing this institutional framework that a lot of us saw at the largest and most sophisticated institutional investors in the world, and making that available at the palm of your hand. And that's really what we are continuously trying to do at Endowus. Cool. Next slide, please. And through our journey, we started our journey in Singapore, where we became the first digital advisor for the pension system there. In Singapore and Hong Kong combined, we manage now, or we help clients with invest over 4 billion in assets. We've raised over 400 million Hong Kong dollars in capital to sort of fund and grow our business and really proliferate this fee-only, conflict-free business model and transform the way that people interact with their wealth. As of earlier this year, we've also saved our clients collectively over 15 million US dollars, and that's just on running costs of their portfolios. That's not including zero sales charges that we have today. So if we include sales charges, we think that we've saved our clients collectively probably over close to $50 million since our inception. And very excitingly, just a month and a half ago, we launched into the Hong Kong market, SFC licensed here, and firing on all cylinders with over 100 products on our shelf. Next slide, please. And I think what's really important as a last thing to highlight is our emphasis on our team. We are deep finance and deep technology. Again, my colleagues, Steph, Sam, and Sinting will introduce themselves as we go through this presentation. I myself started my career in investment banking at UBS. I then joined Grab Taxi when it was taxi only and cash only. And among many things, was very lucky to sort of pioneer the payment business. We're unlocking over 100 payment methods across the Southeast Asia region. And it was really there where I saw the marrying of technology and finance to really scale and experience, and then start Endowus right after that to really bring that to wealth management and making money much more efficient in people's lives. And I hope that you can find that our product is useful in helping you invest better, organize your life, all to live better in the future. And now I'll hand it off to Steph.
Is it me, right? No?
Sorry, I'll hand it off to Sam. Sam, go ahead. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Maybe just the previous slide, I can introduce myself on that slide and just talk a little bit. So great to meet everybody. I'm Sam. I'm the Chairman and Chief Investment Officer, co-founder of the business with Greg. And being in the industry about 3 decades almost, mostly in the institutional investing space of asset management. Was with one company, Morgan Stanley, for about 17 years in Hong Kong and Singapore. So really excited about our entry into the Hong Kong market because it was home to me and my family for many, many years. But we also have an amazing team, as Greg highlighted, deep fin and deep tech, experts in their field in investing, asset management, wealth advisory services, and technology. So really expert technology and product members that are building something that's truly differentiated here in Hong Kong. If I skip 2 pages, a lot of people compare us with a robo-advisor, saying that, hey, Endowus is just another robo-advisor. But I think that the way we approach the business is very truly different from traditional robo-advisors. Many robo-advisors here in Asia have tried to develop an algorithm that's trying to beat the market. So they're really very focused on returns, and they're really what we call manufacturing a product. And one product or a fund, is where most of them focus on. Whereas Endowus is really a platform business. So think of us like an Amazon or a Netflix, where we are giving you a much more advanced technology first digital experience that's better than anybody. But what we're also about is trying to disrupt the traditional banks and wealth managers, which have always been very much offline. They've lacked, trusted advisory services, and costs tend to be very high. And so in a way, we're building both the best parts of robo-advisory solutions and the best parts of traditional banks and wealth managers, which is, giving you broad choice, but giving you digital and technology-led advice, and giving it to you at the lowest cost possible. Next page, please. And, when it boils down to it, there is a right way to invest. There is a right way to build wealth. And our clients deserve the best way to gain that access, advice, and cost, which are the 3 key building blocks to success in building wealth. Endowus is in Hong Kong the first truly independent, conflict-free, and also, really important and open architecture wealth manager. So we don't rely on our own products. We don't have a fund for everything. We actually work with our partners to give you access to the best-in-class solutions, and most importantly, trying to find what is most suitable for you, and at the lowest cost possible again. Next page. And we're very missional about financial education. Education is critically important because individuals, we don't get educated how to manage our personal finances at home. We don't get educated in the classroom, although we're hoping to change that. And people come out into the workforce not knowing how to prepare for their future. And some of the biggest goals in life, are things like retirement adequacy, because there's so many people that are leaving the workforce with not enough saved up, and the quality of life that cannot be sustained into their retirement. And as a result, I think that, financial education and literacy is something that we really need to focus on, so that people can prepare better, make better discerning choices about the service providers that exist out there, and why traditional incumbents are not really meeting the needs of individuals' requirements, and why Endowus is truly differentiated. But most importantly, financial education is allowing you to empower yourself to take control of your own destiny and your future, and prepare for the future better. So we have insights articles on personal finance, and a lot of sophisticated articles on investing as well. And then webinars like we're doing right now, a plethora of content that you can tap into. So please use the QR code on the bottom left, to scan and subscribe to our insights page. It's completely free. So you can sign up and get the best and best in class and thought leadership in the space of personal finance and investing. Next page, please. So what is also very unique to Endowus is that we have a very strong investment office that's led not only by myself, a CIO, but we have Hugh Chung, who has more than 2 decades of experience at Goldman Sachs, hedge funds and single family office CIO roles at Goldman Sachs and many JP Morgan and other large institutions. We have Sean Wong and Min, who were at Morgan Stanley, etc. And we go through a very rigorous due diligence process to manage, the fund managers, which ones are the best managers. And then with their products, we select the best in-class products available. So you don't have to screen through like 20 different US equity funds. We have the best US value fund, the best US growth fund, and the lowest cost passive index fund. These are building blocks to building the right solutions, portfolios, and achieving the right goals. And so what we call the SMART Plus procedure is the rigorous due diligence process that the investment office goes through in order to find the best products and the best solutions for you. Next page. And when we talk about access, it really is about offering you the best of what's available. And, some of these like brands that you've heard of, the best fund managers out there across the mutual fund space, the passive index and systematic quant manufacturers. So PIMCO, for example, is a very popular fixed income manager. You've probably heard of Fidelity and JP Morgan and, all these other managers. But we also have Dimensional, which is the best systematic quant investor from the US, managing over $600-700 billion of assets. And recently, we've actually expanded our universe into private markets. So some of the best private credit, private equity, private real estate, also hedge funds, single strategy and multi-strategy hedge funds that are the best in class. And so across public markets, short-term investment, long-term investment, passive and active, and alternatives, including private markets and hedge funds, is all available seamlessly on the experience on the Endowus app and the platform. Next page. And one of the examples is, consolidating some of these wonderful building blocks in order to find solutions that are suitable for our investors. And that's across multiple portfolios that Steph will go on talk about more later. But this is an example of a multi-strategy diversified portfolio that we've worked together with a partner to make available to our professional investors, and it achieves better outcomes in a more diversified and something that leads to better outcomes. And so this is something that's available on the platform, but we cannot share details. And if you're interested, then please reach out to our team. Next page. So this is an example of the wonderful partners that we work with, that we are, bringing more solutions with for here in Hong Kong. So we launched with, over 100 funds from over 40 managers. But we continue to expand that range across public markets and private markets to continue to offer you the best-in-class products available at the lowest cost. So I'm going to hand over to Steph.
Thanks, Sam. Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me yet, I'm Stephanie, and I head up Endowus' business in Hong Kong. So very similar to Greg and Sam, I also started out my career in traditional finance, also in investment banking. I then dabbled into the world of fintech. I joined Alibaba's fintech affiliate and financial up in China. I really saw the power of technology to be able to sort of provide financial access to sort of retail investors. And because of COVID, I moved back to Hong Kong and I decided to move back to traditional finance in the fund industry. And it was that experience, I really got the first-hand experience witnessing the pain points of wealth management in Hong Kong. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to bring Endowus to Hong Kong, because what Sam and Greg mentioned earlier, we were really trying to create something that's very special, very unique, to solve for some of the pain points we see for individual investors to try to manage their own wealth. So with that, let me start on my section. So why we're coming to Hong Kong? A lot of people ask that questions. So the lack of access to independent advice, the lack of access to good institutional grade products, and most importantly, the high cost of investing are things that we observe that really permeate in the market. And just to contextualize exactly how expensive we're talking about. So according to the latest Morningstar analysis, they run a global survey surveying how expensive or how cheap it takes in each country and major jurisdictions in the world to invest in mutual funds. And the latest result, for those of us who track this, is not surprising, but again, countries such as Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, again, ranked very badly, meaning it's very expensive for investors to invest in these markets. And exactly how much more expensive on average to invest in an equity or a fixed income fund in Hong Kong is 3 times more expensive than in the US. And for those of us who work in the industry, knows why that is the reason. It's because majority of the distribution landscape of financial products in jurisdictions such as Hong Kong is very much dominated by big incumbent players such as banks, and they have a lot of pricing power. And I think Greg alluded to it. A lot of the traditional players, they would distribute products of high cost, and the high cost embeds this trailer fee commission that the product issuers has to pay the distributors in order to distribute the products on their platform. And that's the reason why it's so expensive to invest in places like Hong Kong and Singapore. And Endowus is really here to solve for this. Let me take on the next slide. We're really proud to share with you guys that we are the sort of first platform that we are aware of to really be able to declare to be independent financial advisor or independent distributor of financial products in Hong Kong. And what does that mean? It means our business model is not run on commissions. That really helps to eliminate the potential conflict of interest that we talked about. So going to back to that example that Greg talked about, when you go to a doctor, you really would hope that the doctor is prescribing you the right medicine based on your own circumstances and not because of the big fat commissions that the doctor is going to receive from the drug manufacturer. But unfortunately, currently in Hong Kong and other parts of Asia, this is how wealth management products are being distributed. And we believe there's a massive sort of inherent potential conflict of interest in that model. And that's why Endowus is bringing this new innovative model, what we call fee only. Sometimes it gets really confusing. People think, oh, fee only, do I have to pick an extra fee? But because our business model, which I'll elaborate shortly, we rebate all the commissions that we get from product issuers, or we get you access to the clean share class that doesn't have any commissions. Net, you'll actually be even quote unquote making money because the advisory fee that we charge is not only totally aligned to your interests, but oftentimes is a lot lower than the commissions of the embedded in the products. So with that, let me give you a brief introduction of what is currently offered on our Hong Kong platform. So for those of you guys who are familiar about Singapore offering, I think in Singapore, very popular, it's our portfolios offering. So we offer different types of model portfolios across different themes, whether it's core global asset allocation or income-focused portfolios. For those in Asia, we tend to, that's very popular. Thematic satellites, such as China equity that Greg mentioned, or global technology that's also getting a lot of interest, or cash management portfolios for those of you who want to take advantage of the much higher yields on money market funds these days without the lockups that you're subject to for fixed deposits. But for those of you who are more familiar of sort of buying single funds, you can also pick single funds on our curated fund platform called FundSmart, or DIY your own multi-fund portfolios using the curated funds on our shelf. And what really excites me, and Sam also mentioned, we also recently have been working very hard to unlock alternatives to our investors. These products are provided to qualified professional investors in Hong Kong and accredited investors in Singapore. And I think we've all recently heard about whether the traditional 60-40 portfolio is dead. I think in our minds, just because 60-40 has one bad year doesn't mean we'll throw it out of the window, but we're always striving to think of ways to help our clients to make their portfolios more resilient. And by adding alternatives into your portfolio, it really helps to further diversify your portfolios. And traditionally, it's been very hard for individual investors to get access to alternatives. They often have high investment minimums, but we've worked with our fund managers, which Sam has introduced, the likes of KKR, the likes of Carlyle, to really lower the investment minimums of these best-in-class alternative products. Or even better, for those of us who are not familiar of these products, create fund-of-fund portfolios where we've already done the due diligence for you to put together the best-in-class suite portfolio that you don't have to sort of make that daunting decision of which is the right alternative for me to invest into. So this is what we have in the platform. And I will just go on to elaborate a little bit more. Some people ask, so exactly how is your FundSmart platform different from other platforms we see on the street in Hong Kong? And I'd say Sam already elaborated a little bit, but I also want to continue to emphasize this point that Endowus is not a fund supermarket. The really big differentiator is the strong investment office that Sam led, powered by our strong tech team, obviously. But because of this curation, we've really done the hard work for our clients to curate the best-in-class funds. So we're not just a supermarket that has more than 2,000 funds. We've already curated the best-in-class products for you, and you can pick these products based on your needs. You can also see, on average, our fund, the fees on our platform are a lot lower than other platforms. On average, it's more than 40% lower. And I'll illustrate shortly how we can achieve that. So we achieve that by doing two things. One is, I mentioned earlier, either we help our clients to buy into the lowest achievable cost institutional share class, what we can call the clean share class, that doesn't have any embedded commissions that's baked into the management fee. So in this example of the PIMCO income fund, you can see the institutional share class, the management fee is 55 basis points. Whereas the traditional retail share class that you find on any other retail channels, the management fee for the exact same strategy is 145 basis points. So immediately, there's a huge delta of difference by buying into the institutional share class. And on top of that, Greg has mentioned, other platforms, typically they slap on other upfront fees, subscription fees, sales charge. In Endowus, we don't have any of these additional fees. We charge just one single transparent all-in fee called Endowus fee, and that's the blue part on this bar. So for single funds, we charge a very clean 40 basis point, and adding the 40 basis point to the institutional share class management fee, your total all-in cost for investing in this PIMCO income strategy, it's less than 100 basis point, which if you compare to traditional retail channels, it's more than 70% sort of cheaper. And if you just try to quantify the number, let's say you invest in this fund for 10 years and sort of using the historical 10-year rolling average returns of this fund of 7%, you are gaining massive savings by sort of making sure you lower the cost of investment. So this is the power of why we spend so much resource to make sure that our clients get access to the cheapest share class. And the next example I want to show is sometimes the clean institutional share class is really not available for clients to invest because they might really be only reserved for big institutional clients. But in that case, even if we help our clients to invest into the retail share class, we would rebate all the trailer commissions that's embedded in that product. So using this Goldman Sachs Asset Management Global Millennials Fund as an example, the normal retail share class management fee is 165 basis points. Within that, more than 60% is actually baked in commissions for distributors. That's 105 basis points. We completely rebate that to all clients. And again, we charge that all-in transparent fee and Endowus fee of 40 basis points. And again, you can see the big delta. The all-in cost of investing this fund on Endowus platform is 100 basis points, whereas for other retail banks, because usually compared to fixed income funds, this upfront subscription fee is even higher. For equity funds, the delta is even bigger. Again, you're sort of gaining more than 70% cost savings by investing the same fund on Endowus platform. And again, we helped you do the calculation. If you roll it for 10 years, the saving number, I was also personally a bit shocked to see it can amount to more than $580,000, assuming you make that 1 million investment and assuming just a normal 10% equity return that you would expect. So this is really the power of how we lower the cost for our clients, because we oftentimes focus on the compounding effect of returns. But actually, returns are really hard to control. But cost, on the other hand, is really something 100% to our control. And costs also compound. So we've shown you different examples in the past 2 slides. And just to hit home with this point, just to use another example again, if you invest $10 million and you just save 1% in fees, over a long-term period of 30 years, you're gaining extra of 245% in returns. So this is really why Warren Buffett says the power of compounding. It's a sort of ninth wonder in the world, but oftentimes we only think about in returns, but costs actually will give you exactly the same effect. So with that, I hope that all of you are really excited to explore more on our platform. You can find the full list of funds that we've onboarded on our website. You can click under Invest, under the navigation bar, we have investment fund list, and click around the different filters that the funds that we've curated for you. And as I mentioned, we also offer alternatives for our professional investors clients. Because of regulatory reasons, we cannot show you exactly the products, but if you're interested, please feel free to sign up as a professional investors, and our advisors will provide you with more details, exactly what kind of products and you can access on our platform. And with that, I'll pass over to Sinting to talk more about how you can get started on our Endowus Hong Kong platform.
Thank you, Steph. So I'm Sinting, the Chief Client Officer here at Endowus. And I started my career in the wealth management space at Morgan Stanley in Hong Kong, where I covered mostly high net worth individuals and family offices. I personally left the private wealth space because I felt like the business model in Asia was very transactional based and not always aligned with clients' best interests. I also personally felt a lot of the pain points that, Greg, Sam, and Steph have all brought up now when I try to invest my own money. So at Endowus, we have a team of SFC licensed client advisors, and we're always available to speak to clients, whether you need a little help on your account or want some advice on how to allocate your funds. So as Steph mentioned, I'm going to walk you very quickly on how you can onboard on our platform. So if you go to endowus.hk, and there's also a question on slide about our app. So our mobile app is coming. It'll be ready very, very soon. So you go on our website, you click on create account on the top right, go to next step, Steph, next slide. And you can start onboarding in just 4 very, very simple steps. So the first step, you create an account, you leave your email address, password, tell us a little bit about yourself. Next slide. On the second step, you have to take a risk assessment so that we can better advise you on which investment products you should look at for your portfolio. Next slide. Thirdly, you can digitally sign the account opening agreement. So there's no paper documents. Everything is onboarded online. And then on the final step, on the next slide, You complete your identific verification by uploading your ID docs, whether that's your Hong Kong ID or account in your name. So once you've completed these 4 steps, it should take about 2 business days for your Endowus account to be opened. The next slide. Sorry, we could just skip through to the reporting section. Yeah. So, I mean, we've created a very investment process for clients. We have a goals-based platform where you can create goals for your different needs, whether this is like retirement, your rainy day fund, or your kids' education. In terms of reporting as well, we're very, very transparent here in Endowus. So you can view your performance and holdings very holistically across your different goals and portfolios, and also drill down to each individual portfolio. And we understand that clients have, different needs in terms of reporting. So you can choose to view everything from just simple returns, or drill down to how this figure is derived, or look at other performance metrics such as time-weighted returns. Everything is available online at your fingertips. You can also see your overall exposure to different asset classes, geographies, top holdings, and again, drill down to both account level and portfolio level. Next slide. We've talked a lot about fees today. This is very, very important to investing in your overall returns. And at Endowus, we really try to lower costs at every level. So the Endowus fee is an all-in fee that includes everything from the advice, access to the funds, transaction fee, custodian fees, etc. So this is an annual fee charged on a quarterly basis based on the average value of your investments. So there's no additional charges, there's no upfront sales fee, there's no additional transactional fees or anything like that. So for single funds on our platform, this ranges between 10 basis points to 40 basis points. And for portfolio funds, which also benefits from automated rebalancing, this ranges from 10 basis points to 60 basis points. And then for alternatives, it ranges from 40 to 60 basis points. Next slide. Safety of our clients' assets is something that's very, very important to how we design the platform. So Endowus is licensed by SFC in Hong Kong. We have the trifecta of licenses. We have type 1 for dealing, type 4 for advising, and type 9 for asset management. And we have to comply with very, very strict client money and client security rules by SFC. So our cash custodian is HSBC. All our client funds are held in an account at HSBC, and this account is segregated from Endowus' own funds. So in terms of transactions, we use different rails to be as efficient as possible and across different investment products. For example, we work with the likes of All Funds, iCapital, and we also have direct distribution agreements with fund managers. And the fund managers will each appoint their own respective custodians for the custody of assets. Next slide. So at Endowus, we are a digital-first platform, but clients are at the center of everything we do, and we have a team of advisors that are always available to speak to clients. So you can schedule some time on our website to speak to an advisor, whether this is via Zoom or if you want to grab a coffee in person, and you can discuss everything from onboarding to financial advice on how to invest your funds. And we're also always trying to improve the client experience. So if you have any feedback or improvements you'd like to see, please let us know. And if we could flash the Slido.
Actually, I think we've already answered most of the Slido questions. I don't know if there's any others that may be coming up. So I think we can pretty much wrap up. But do you want to touch on any of these questions live on the webinar, Steph or Cindy?
I think we pretty much touched on most of the question. As Cindy mentioned, right now we're providing a web-based platform. We'll have an app very shortly. coming. I think there is a question, probably someone who knew us from Singapore, asking about MPF. So maybe Sam, that's his favorite topic. Retirement is such a big part of Endowus' DNA. We're definitely actively thinking of ways to bring our experience in Singapore, digitizing and revolutionizing the CPF system, which is similar to MPF in Hong Kong, down the road. But we're working very hard. We'll keep you guys posted. Definitely something that we definitely want to launch in the medium term.
So we work very hard to build a purpose-built tech stack. So the technology layer is built for purpose for both private wealth and public pension and corporate pension. So full flexibility. Our investment advisory solutions are also built across multiple sources of funds. So Endowus is unique in the way we've approached building the business as an open architecture wealth advisory service. And as a result, we were the first and only ones to initially do the CPF investing. Now others have entered the market, and we've already overtaken some of the larger offline players to become the largest CPF investing advisor as well. And so in Hong Kong, we're committed to the same cause, that we want to help individuals and empower them so that they can reach retirement adequacy. Imagine, a rising number of population reaching old age, living in poverty, not able to sustain their quality of life. We really think that there's a lot that we can do. And, having lived and worked in Hong Kong, we are very well aware of the frustrations that we exist for both the MPF and for legacy, solutions like ORSO. So there's a lot of money that's still in the ORSO program. And so MPF, also other corporate multinationals have their own employee benefit and pension programs. We want to be able to serve all of them, and we're working with very strong partners to prepare for that, and including ORSO and MPF. So look forward to Endowus continue to build out the services, the technology, and the capabilities that we desire to have so that we can serve more of you in more ways. MPF being one of the most important future targets that we have. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I think we can wrap up the session.
Thank you, everyone, for your
Thank
time.
you, everyone. And feel free to drop us an email if you have any questions. Thank you, everyone. We'll call it a day then.